All right. So Shannon, we were trying to do a live. We couldn't make a
Yeah.
live happen. So we're doing a Zoom and hopefully being able to share the information that way. But I wanted you to share your experience having gone through the boot camp, having just completed the 3-month cycle. We had a coaching call the other day, and you said some things that I really wanted to have you share publicly about your experience in regard to like how amazed that you were at what you were able to achieve. So I thought you could speak a little bit to that.
Yeah, so about 10 years ago, I gained about 10 pounds, and I'd always been the same weight forever. And I tried Jenny Craig, and I lost it once over with Jenny Craig, and I gained it back 3 months later. Couldn't believe it. Right back. And I tried Weight Watchers maybe once, but I just couldn't quite figure that one out. And on Jenny Craig, I was just always hungry, so it never worked. So I finally just sort of thought, okay, well, this is the way it is. And then of course, talking to Kristen, found out about what you were doing. And I started to just follow you on Instagram, and it seemed to make sense what you were teaching. And so I just thought, I need someone just to tell me what I'm supposed to be doing with like exercising and macros instead of counting just calories, because that never worked. I would eat 1,200 calories all the time for a really long time, and I still couldn't quite lose the weight because I couldn't sustain it, because 1,200 calories. So anyway, so I started to do this, and you put me on having to eat a lot more protein than I've ever consumed in my life, and then the fat and the carbs, and I just can't believe how much easier it was. So the protein, the fat, and the carbs, it all equates to the amount of calories you're supposed to have. And you have to watch the calories, but for some reason, doing the other three, or mostly even just the protein and fat or the protein and carbs, I just can't believe how easy it is. So I am losing the weight. I'm not afraid to say like how much I weighed. I started at 151. I honestly never thought I would see 147 on my own. Never. And I got there, and it wasn't that hard.
Right.
And it's not where I want to end, but I'm just like, wow, it's there.
Right. Yeah, I
So
thought it was amazing when you were like, I never thought I'd be in the 140s again. And I didn't think I could do it and still eat, like feel
yeah,
satisfied.
yes, yes, that was it's still kind of amazing to me. And I think about like I've done most of the assignments that you've put out there, and quite a few of them is really like, okay, you have us project our like what it feels like once you are where you are, or how you want to be.
Feel like
And
that's the goal.
yeah, and I just thought, well, okay, so you fake it till you make it. And the nice thing is I'm like, oh my God, I really am at 147. So I really am going to see 146, 144, 142. Like, I don't think I'm not going to see those like I did when I started.
Right.
And I just think that's huge. It's not, to me, it's not, I'm not hungry. I mean, I'm hungry, but I'm not starving. I'm hungry
Right.
sometimes, some of the days, but not most of the time. And I figured out what works for my body and what doesn't. Like, I can't really have like peanut butter and oatmeal. It just doesn't quite work for me.
Right.
Or 2 eggs in the morning. Maybe in maintenance, 2 eggs would work, but I really need, because that's a lot of fat in the morning. So I don't have a lot of room for the rest of it later in the day. So just figuring those tiny little tweaks is so helpful. And that's from posting every day when I'm at the end of the day, what's going on.
Right, right. So we have the daily accountability where at the end of the day, you're like, okay, this is whether how I hit my targets today, or I didn't hit my targets today. This is what I'm doing. And then as you're being accountable to that every day, you notice all of those little things where it's like, oh, I went too heavy in this in the morning, so I didn't have enough of that left over in the evening. And you start to learn how to pre-plan your day so that you're getting a range of everything you need throughout the day.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's been pretty amazing.
Yeah. I'd say
And
that one of the big things that people comment on that I wanted you to share, that I want people to hear, is that, oh my gosh, I'm doing it and I don't feel like completely deprived. That doesn't mean it's super easy. I mean, there's still a learning curve, but people are like, oh, this isn't as hard as I thought it would be. I can't believe how much food I can actually eat and still lose
yeah,
weight. And you had said, right before you were going to do this, you were thinking about doing Jenny Craig again, sort of dreading.
yeah, I was just like, oh my God, the food's not that good. I really don't. But it doesn't teach me how to eat, because that food is like
Exactly.
salt. So you go back to regular life and salt comes back and you automatically gain like 2 pounds.
Right. Well, that's the thing with all of those diets. Like, how you lose the weight is how you have to maintain that weight loss. And
Yeah.
so when you do it through something extreme in a program like that, where the food is already made for you, like you said, you're not learning how to eat on your own. So then as soon as you go back to living life as a regular human, it all comes back on. And then
Yeah.
sometimes then some. Whereas like this is how are you going to eat? How are you going to change your lifestyle? How are you going to eat day to day?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I know I need to eat 3 to 4 ounces of protein at lunch and dinner. And
Right.
I know what that looks like. I know that, I don't really I can eat rice, but I don't really miss rice. So I don't choose to have like rice or anything like that.
I mean, and rice is an option. I eat rice all the time. It's just how you choose to spend your carbs,
Yeah,
you know,
my carbs. Yeah, I'd rather have bread.
right? Exactly. You can have bread. You can have bread, you can have rice, as long as you can make it work. You might not get as much as you have had before. You might not get rice and bread in, the same day, but you can have rice and bread.
Yeah, yeah. I remember talking to you and I was like, I can't eat all that food and drink all that water. I'm too full. I can't do it. There's
Right.
just there's too much food. And it's just because, like you said, well, protein fills you up. But eventually my body has been adjusting and now I can get in 2 liters of water. I've never made it past over 2.5
Oh, you'll
yet.
get there. You'll get there.
I do get 2, which is probably better than I was getting before. Um,
Definitely.
yeah, and the protein has helped a lot because I don't want to say I felt sluggish. I've always been pretty active, but I just feel a little better having plenty of protein in me, especially because I'm older in my 40s. So yeah, it literally has been life changing. And I did think to myself, I'll do this 3 months and then I'll do it on my own. But I like, because you have made small tweaks as we went along, and I like someone paying attention to that, and just from talking with you about you can drop too fast, or you go on vacation and you want to go up a little bit in calories. You don't want to be at a deficit because you're going to change how you eat a little bit when you're on vacation, just because you're not at home.
Right.
Um, so I would rather go through 2 or 3 boot camps to get to my goal weight and really get it down, the weight and the process, so that
Yeah, it can take a while.
yeah, so
Get
I
the
don't have,
whole process down and really understand the nuance of it. A lot of people have gone through 2 boot camps, 3 boot camps, 4 boot camps because they like either the nuance piece of it, they like the, specific little tweaks, or they like the daily accountability.
yeah,
That piece is really huge. And I always tell people, like, the 12, you're not going to get all the way to your goal in 12 weeks. That's programs that are selling that, it's typically something that's very restrictive. And again, it's another fad and it might come off in those 12 weeks, but we want to be able to sustain results over time. So I always
yeah,
tell people the first, the 12 weeks, this is the beginning of the journey. It's the first 12 weeks, right? And
mhm,
it's just going to take more time if you want to keep it off. And people who have done boot camps and then have gone on their own have noticed, even when they're not perfect, the weight stays off because we're not doing some sort of super restrictive, fad, get it off quick sort of style. We're doing it in a way that is friendly to our metabolisms. And
yeah,
therefore, we want to be able to get it off and keep it off. That's the whole idea.
yeah, yeah. And I like just, you have, it's well rounded. You have information about working out, and I like that not all of this is thrown at you at the very beginning.
Right.
We're not, you don't have us do all the food, the workout, the water. It's not all done from like day one. You ease it in so that we can get each step down pretty well.
Yeah, that's what I've really tried to do, is like implement change over time. So
Yeah,
that, by the time we're midway through, we're really rolling with everything, but giving you time to adjust to all the different things that we're changing, and not trying to do too much change all at once. Cause that's when a lot of people will give up, as if it's just too many things all at one time. Plus,
yeah,
getting the diet piece nailed is so huge, because without that piece being really firmly in place, the training part isn't going to matter as much, because you can't out train a bad diet.
yes, yes. And I told you earlier, I really thought the working out piece was going to be the easiest part, but it turns out in the winter months, it's not. No, I don't
For
hold
you,
up.
right?
So but what is good is that no time when I was, even though I wasn't perfect, I didn't feel like I had to lie, or I had to feel bad about it. It was like, okay, well, how do we figure out how to get that regular for you?
Right.
So like for the working out, you were like, well, instead of doing 30 minutes a day, just commit to 15. You want to be a person that works out, be a person that works out for 15 minutes a day, and see, and then it will build on itself. And it
Right.
had. I worked out more last week than I have since I came back from Maui.
That's
Uh,
great.
and only one day was 15, the other day was 22, another day was 30. So, but it was like, I think it was like 4 or 5 days.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's more days than you were getting. But
Yeah,
even so, without the training piece being fully in place, you're still getting results because you're mastering that diet.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And also, it was nice. I remember when you gave me my calories and the macros and stuff, and of course I looked at the calories and I was like, oh, that's not that low. But that's not where we stayed too. And even where I'm at right now is, it's a little bit harder. It's like maybe 120 calories different, but it's still not that low. It's certainly not 1200, but
Right.
there's days that I just end up doing 1250 on my own, and I'm just not hungry for anything more, and I'm done. But there's room to have more.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. And
um,
it's going to be very important as we're training that you do actually hit it. Even if you're not hungry, we need to make sure that we are keeping the metabolism fired up. If we're going too low and we're not eating enough, that's, going to undermine some of the work we do. So there's that balance of, you know, hitting
once
those
in
targets, hitting those
a
targets, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes, I'm in my training targets. Sometimes I'm in a phase where like I'm hungry all the time because of where my targets are. And then other times when I'm in a growth phase and it's very hard for me to get all the food in, but it's really important to what I'm trying to do to get all that food in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It,
So
just feel like it's so much better. And my husband does the cooking, and it's been pretty easy to get him on board. He's a fabulous cook. He really can cook really well, but it's so good that it's too good. And so him making just some tweaks just to make it a little easier.
a
And
little
it's
bit
really
more
cute.
macro friendly.
Yes, yes. He'll like pull out the scale now, and he won't serve my food on my plate so that I can like put it on there myself and weigh it. And now it's just like no big deal.
Right.
It's
And
just
it is no big deal really to weigh your food, to make
yeah,
sure you're getting the 5 ounces. I mean, I think a lot of people put too much, they think like that's so obsessive or weird or something, but really it's just a tool
yeah,
to help make sure that you're in the range so that you can meet your goals and not be shooting in the dark.
yeah, yeah. And most of the time, it's because I need to put more protein on my plate. So it's not that I'm taking away; it's that I'm adding, and I'm like, nope, that's not enough protein yet. And I'm like,
Right.
there we go.
There we
There it is.
go. There we go. And then it gives you an idea when you go back to more of an intuitive eating style. You really know from doing it over and over what 4 ounces of chicken looks like versus two
Yeah,
ounces of chicken. And then you're going to be able to be more accurate on when you're not using a scale.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just
Yeah.
it's been so nice, and it hasn't been stressful, and yeah, I just didn't even think that it would be this easy. Not to say it's easy, but a lot easier than anything else I have tried.
That's amazing to hear. And thank you so much for sharing that. And then, we've got the mindset exercises, the self-care exercises, all of that to sort of keep us, mentally fresh and being positive with ourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are nice. Just it kind of helps you figure out how I work and how I work with food, which has been really nice. And also just kind of um, just to be easy on yourself. Let yourself make some mistakes, but don't beat yourself up about it.
Yeah. That's a whole philosophy. Like hold yourself accountable, but don't take time. We don't need to beat ourselves up. We kind of have this solution oriented way that we deal with things. Like, okay, I didn't meet my targets. What was the barrier? What's the solution to the barrier? Instead of like, I suck, and starting to create stories about ourselves that just aren't going to serve us, and just having just a much more neutral approach.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you definitely bring that across. So there's really isn't any judgment or anything like that,
Right.
other than get your stuff, get your weekly in so that you can see what's going on. So you
Yeah,
can
I'm
make
like, get those weekly check-ins in. I need the data. Okay, well, thank you for coming on, and I'm so excited to have you in the next boot camp. And I am glad that you're willing to share this information, because this is the information I'm trying to get out to women so that they understand, how this process can work in a way that's going to serve them and not make them feel like they're failures, and to have success without feeling super restricted or like they just hate it and it's terrible and awful. So hearing people like you say, oh my gosh, I'm hitting numbers I didn't think I was going to see, and I'm doing it in a way where I feel satisfied and it's not a dreadful experience.
yeah, it's not. I mean, I'm coming back again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Awesome.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Shannon. And I look forward to seeing you in the next boot camp.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right. Thanks. Bye.